Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Oumaima, and this video will be a best books I have read this year in 2022. I have read a lot of great books this year, and this year I learned to put down books that I don't really like, so the ones that I finished are 3 stars upward. Narrowing this list down to 10 books was quite difficult. I also categorized them into genres, so if you want to skip ahead into genre that you're interested in. The first one I have loved is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. At this point, I think I have read all of Emily Henry's books. Emily Henry writes very mature characters with very healthy relationships. Book Lovers is about a literary agent who goes to a small town with her sister, and in there she meets her work rival, an editor in her own company, I guess. Also her relationship with her sister, how that builds up as well. So it's very interesting, and I highly recommend anything by Emily Henry. The Charm Offensive by Alison Cochrun. This is my first Alison Cochrun book, and I'm currently reading her second book that just came out this year. We're following Charlie. Got fired from his own company because there's rumors that he is not very good to work with, and so his assistants put him to be the lead of the Bachelor to kind of get people to sympathize with him and improve his reputation. But he does not end up falling for any of the women. He ends up falling for a producer. It's really sweet. It talks about mental health struggles as well. For nonfiction, I have read a lot of nonfiction this year, but I chose only one in this video, and that is Wordslight by Amanda Montal. How the English language influences the way we think about feminine stuff. In the fantasy genre, I have some physical books. It's Ariadne by Jennifer Saint. I have bought this one after I finished Circe, and I really loved it, which will be in this video as well. This is a Greek mythology retelling. I have read last year A Song of Achilles. I didn't love it as much, but that's maybe just because I was listening to it as an audiobook. So I was hesitant to pick up Greek mythology, but I'm glad I did because this is amazing. The writing in this book is amazing. I really regret not annotating any of this book because I thought I would ruin it, which now is more reason for me to reread this book and annotate it. The second book is the one I just mentioned, Circe by Madeline. Same thing I just said about Ariadne. They're very similar, but they're talking about 2 different Greek mythology characters. I mean, I have no knowledge about Greek mythology. You don't have to know the original story to enjoy this. Next book I have read is kind of like sci-fi, not just fantasy, and that is Kindred by Octavia Butler. This is my first book by this author, and I want to read more by her about this black woman in our current time, no, in the 70s, which is when the author wrote the book. One day, all of a sudden, she feels dizzy, and then she wakes up in 1800s America, in which black people were not free at that time. And she's also married to a white man, so when he came with her to that place, people treated them differently, and it's very sad and it's very frustrating, and I'm looking forward to reading more by this author. The next book I have read is a book that has been on my CBR for the longest time ever, and that is The Shadow of the Wind by Ruiz Zafon. This book has been an unexpected 5-star read. This book is basically about this father who takes his son to the library of the dead, in which there are forgotten books, and he asks him to pick up a random book. He take it for himself, and he picks up a book by Julian Carax, and he falls in love with it immediately, and he starts to look for more books by Julian Carax, and then we figure out that there's this strange man who's going around the world looking for Julian Carax's books, and he burns them. Our main character Daniel tries to figure out who this guy is and why he's burning the books, and we see the parallels between Julian Carax's life and Daniel's life. The next and final section in this video is contemporary/literary fiction, and I have 2 books in this category. First one is Kim Jiyoung, born 1982, by Cho Nam-joo. This book talks about life in South Korea as a woman. The final book I have is 1,000 Splendid Suns by Khaled Hosseini, and this one in Afghanistan. I'm gonna read you the blurb because I don't know how to describe this book. Maryam is only 15 when she is sent to Kabul to marry the troubled and bitter Rashid, who is 30 years her senior. Nearly 2 decades later, in a climate of growing unrest, tragedy strikes 15-year-old Layla, who must leave her home and join Maryam's unhappy household. Layla and Maryam are to find consolation in each other, their friendship to grow as deep as the bond between sisters, strong as the ties between mother and daughter. With the passing of time comes Taliban rule over Afghanistan. The streets of Kabul loud with the sound of gunfire and bombs. Life is a desperate struggle against starvation, brutality, and fear. Doma's endurance tested beyond their worst imaginings. Yet love can move a person to act in unexpected ways, lead them to overcome the most daunting obstacles with a startling heroism. In the end, it is love that triumphs over death and destruction. This author writes female characters so well. I have read The Kite Runner by him, I loved it, and this one I loved it even more. Hi, this is a few days later, as you can probably tell. I completely forgot to talk about the best book I've ever read in this entire year for some reason. The two books that I forgot to talk about are Babel by Kuang. This was my most anticipated release for this year, and I had very high expectations for it, even exceeded my expectations. This is a dark academia following our main character Robin Swift, who's Chinese, but he gets taken from China at a young age and taken to England by this professor in a prestigious translation school, which is Babel. He basically gets taught Greek, ancient Greek and Latin and all these other languages so that he would be able to enter the Translation Institute, who only very few people get into. When he gets into the Translation Institute, he meets his cohorts, Remy, who's from India, Victoire, who's from Haiti, and Letty, who's from England. They form this friendship because they don't feel like they belong in that institute. This book talks about imperialism and racism in academia. You're studying what the characters are studying. In this case, they're studying translation and etymology and all the things related to linguistics. It was highly enjoyable to learn so many things about the origins of the words. And you also see how England, in this case, uses other countries' talents in order to advance itself. If I had to choose one book that is the best book I've ever read in this entire year, this will be it. The next book I want to talk about is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. I think everyone knows what this story is about, so I don't think I'm gonna spoil it to anyone, but this is basically a corruption arc. The writing is so beautiful. I really enjoyed this book, and I really want to read more by Oscar Wilde. These are all the 10 books that are my favorite in this year. Let me know what books you have read in this year that you loved so much. And as always, see you next time. Bye.